Hey everybody, Kennis Russell here. Hope you're doing well. Listen, today I've got a video on how to spot a fake Fender Stratocaster. Check it out. All right, I'm here at my awesome music store that I go to all the time, Music Go Round here in Houston, Texas, and ran across a guitar back here that looked a little off. Sure enough, I looked at the tag, and even though the headstock said Fender, he had it labeled correctly as a Squier Stratocaster. Someone apparently had modified it to make it look like a real American Fender, but it is not. So I'm going to show you the telltale signs of how to spot a fake Stratocaster. Got 4 guitars that are labeled as Fender Stratocasters, and we're going to take a look at them and we'll see if we can spot the fake here. Let's start with this guy here. I'm going to just give you a second to look at it. Okay. Going all the way down. Okay, moving on to number 2. Hopefully you can see some of the details here. Moving to number 3. And finally number 4. Alright, so which one of these do you think is the fake by just looking at it? It is this guy right here. Now basically there's 2 types of fakes that you'll come across. The first is going to be kind of like a modified fake. That's what this one is. It's where someone's taken a Squier guitar and they're trying to pass it off as a Fender guitar. The second kind of fake that you're going to come across is a manufactured fake. This is where, like in China somewhere, they manufacture the guitar to try to be fake. Those can be a little bit harder to spot because they are obviously a manufacturer that's doing it. But basically, even with those, what they're doing is taking the quality of guitar usually that would be kind of in the Squier range and then just making a headstock that looks like a Fender. And there are some telltale things that American Fenders do that basically they're the only ones that do. This guitar is it's a Squier Bullet 50th anniversary. And what they did was they took off the Squier mark on it, just rubbed it off, and then got what's called a water slide and put that on there in its place to try to make it look like essentially this guitar right here. Okay, so if you look at this, I'm going to try to get the right angle. You can see that that's actually basically a sticker on there that is put on there, which that's how the vintage guitars were. So if you look at a newer guitar, let's look at this guy. This isn't actually a Mexican, but if you look at it, you know, this just like silk screened on there. There's no sticker. But this is like a vintage reissue, and you can see that Fender logo is also a sticker. But if you look at the quality, the difference, there's a big difference between this one here. There's this bridge. This is an American Stratocaster. And then come over here. This is a Mexican Stratocaster, and this is the fake right here. What's the one thing you notice on that? Just the quality of the bridge is not the same. This is more of just kind of a cheaper metal. I mean, it's very difficult to probably see on camera, but you can tell that the metal is better on the American and even on the Mexican than it is on the Squier. Also, these saddles here, you don't really see these kind of saddles too much on these chrome saddles like this on American Stratocasters. Usually they come with these kind of Fender stamped saddles like this. Sometimes they're upgraded. They are the block style saddles, but the frets, this one actually is pretty good on here, but the edge of these are a little sharp, just a little sharp. Go over to this one here, they're just a lot smoother on an American. This American over here, this feels great. There's not a lot of, it's not jagged edges. Go over here to this cheap one. I can feel the edges of this. Doesn't mean it's a bad guitar. It's just a little bit harder to play. And the thing is, an American guitar, American Fender is just going to have a little bit more time spent on the detail. And that's one of the details that they'd spend time on, is the edge of the frets there, making sure that they're nice and smooth. Okay, going up here, the nut on a cheap, like a foreign guitar, is not as good as an American made. You can just tell a little bit of a difference, the quality. It's kind kind of one of those things that's kind of harder to spot unless you've worked on a lot of guitars, but you can tell that this is a cheaper plastic. So if you're able to compare, you know, side by side like this, it's a lot easier to spot a fake if you can compare the two. Okay, right above the nut is that hole right there. That is your truss rod right there. That's where you go in there. Now this is, in my opinion, the easiest way to spot a fake. All Americans are going to have a walnut hole there. So if you see the hole, it's kind of like a little bit lighter, and it's wood. Moving over here, this is a plastic hole, okay? It's plastic around there. So that's how you can tell a Mexican. And I guess they did that with this, this Squier too. Some of the Squiers will have the plastic around the truss rod. Some of them won't. So for sure, if you ever see like this with a Fender logo on it, you can just say 100% that that's not an American. Now, you get into the vintage stuff, you can say, oh my gosh, they didn't even have a truss rod, and it does. It's down underneath here somewhere. You got a little harder to get to, but it's not up here at the top. On every, as far as I've ever seen, every cheaper Stratocasters will have 2 string trees right there. The real one has 1 string tree. Going back to this fake, 2 string trees. Again, that's not like the only thing you look for, but if you see 2 string trees, just make sure that it is a real Fender, because chances are, if it is a fake, it's going to have 2 string trees. The important thing to remember is that all these details that I'm pointing out, it's not just one thing that you can look at and go, oh, that's a fake. Usually it's a culmination of a few different ones. It's a few different things that are happening that lead you to the conclusion. So just looking at the whole thing in context is the way to spot it, and just getting real familiar with what to look for. You know, it's kind of like the FBI, that when they train people on how to spot fake currency, you know, fake dollar bills, they don't show them all the different ways to fake. They just have them handle real bills a lot. Once you handle the real thing enough, it's easier to spot the fake thing. We've already talked about the logo, but you can see here, just this is super easy to spot here. That string tree does not belong on top of the Fender logo. Fender would never put a string tree on top of their logo. You know, if you look at this here, the string tree is next to the logo. What manufacturer is going to make it where you got to look behind the string tree to see the full thing? So that's just an obvious, but you can see the difference in that. Again, it's just quality. Looking at the tuners, you can see on these, this Squier, it's obviously a Squier because the tuners are labeled Squier. Here's kind of the vintage one here. It's got these vintage tuners on here. And these are going to be more or less lined up straight. If you see them that are just super crooked, then they're probably not right. This is the fake, this is the bullet, and they're not labeled Fender or anything on it. You can see here on this Mexican Strat, it's got the Fender logo, and then if I move over to this US, those are the exact same tuners right there. So again, just because it has Fender tuners doesn't mean it's an American, but you're not going to find, obviously you're not going to find Squier tuners on an American, and they're going to be either labeled Fender or they're going to be some sort of vintage type thing like this. And I guess probably the easiest way to spot a fake is just to look at the serial number. There's websites you can go on that you can just type in the serial number and see what model it is. It gives you here, it's on the back here on this. Sometimes they're up here at the top of the headstock, but this is a real one there. If we look over here, the Mexican, and MZ stands for, or M stands for Mexican, Z stands for the 2000s. And then here, there's no serial number, but they actually have it on the back of the neck, which is the same as the real one on the vintage. It's back of the neck plate. I'm not going to take this apart just because I'm here in the store, but if you ever wanted to take off the pick guard of a Stratocaster, you can see the quality behind the pick guard. An American is going to have an upgraded switch. This is going to be a high quality five-way switch. You can feel the difference even when you're comparing the two. The knobs are going to feel nice and smooth. Usually they all feel the same, nice and even. Whereas on the fakes, they're a little bit looser. If you take it and you look on the other side of this, on the inside, these are going to be smaller pots usually, and there might be no name, and these are just going to be quality pots. Again, you kind of know what you're looking for. But if you were to take this apart and take this apart and put it side by side, there's no way you would think that this is the better one than this one is. If it's possible for you to compare side by side, then that is great. Well, anyway, hopefully this was helpful to you and you kind of understand how to spot a fake Stratocaster. If it was, please hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you in another video.